Welcome everybody to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday. And you guys see we're continuing our digital platform. And you also see I have an amazing co-host joining me today, Miss Besa of Cube 93. Thank you so much, Besa, for joining us.
Hey y'all.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Our audience is gonna get used to seeing your face. I'm loving it. You know what I mean? You bring the spice, you bring the flair and the flavor, hunty. We are gonna get into these issues today. Are you ready?
Girl, are they ready? Or shall I say, are the issues ready? Because we got some things to check.
Yes, some things to check. And let's get right into it because this is hot off the press, honestly. Gurmai just tweeted out, if we can put this up, just tweeted out that this right here, that he has to give an apology to the citizens of Skyway because they tried to have a community meeting last night that got hacked by some folks coming in. And listen to this. Dozens of Zoom hackers bombed the virtual meeting with offensive, anti-Black, anti-Semitic, and sexually explicit images and words. Oh my goodness. Let me just say this. Here he is sending lots of love out there to the Black and Jewish neighbors who were on the Zoom call and who were repeatedly subjected to the N-word and swastikas. You know what? I'll just say this right now, Besa. I mean, we're starting off with that fire this morning, and we gotta uplift this because this is what now the Gurmai's number one tweet. We're also getting that coming straight hot off the presses. I want to say to this, we can take it down. Thank you, Alia. That we experienced this too in community. You know, Africatown Community Land Trust was holding a community meeting, and this is why the Zoom passwords and now the upgraded security on Zoom is so important. Can you believe this, Besa?
Not only can I believe it, I'm not surprised, but it's unfortunate. I think it's really unfortunate that in this day, like in peace, you can't have a Zoom call to rally your community together and legit talk about the things that you want changed without somebody being like, oh, I ain't got nothing to do. I got time to basically waste time and go into their chat and spread negative energy, first and foremost. Spreading negative energy as absolutely nothing, as if we're not already in a really bad situation. Then you want to come out and literally derail something that is positive. And I think that's what really bothers me. And it's like you have so much more that you can do with your time and you just choose to spread negative energy. It's like, why?
Yeah. And you know what? And the thing of it is too, is that it always takes me back to the simple, basic rules that what people are seeing right now is how a lot of Black communities have had to fight for anything. It doesn't matter whether it is community organizing, what we see out there in Rainier Beach community, where the community comes together to say, look, we want to renovate this school. We want to make it better. And then you have a faction that is outside of the community coming in to say, wait a minute, we need to preserve this as a historical landmark and they shouldn't be tearing it down. I mean, we have attacks that come at us from all sides. This is another example of that, my friend. And to be honest, you are right. I'm not surprised by it, but the sad part is that even now in this highly politicized time where the movement, the voice of the community, so many folks are speaking out against this exact kind of behavior. It is funny that this is where we are. So my friend, let me just say that it's got me fired up this morning, man. We're going to get into these other clips because this one is, we got to send our love to those out there in Skyway, just like Gurmai did. Because again, this is something that our communities have to face. Girl.
So shout out to Gurmai for getting right on it and not letting this slide and not letting his people that were a part of this feel like, oh, I can't do anything. I can't even do things online and not have, basically Proud Boys pull up on us.
Yes. So. Yes, absolutely. And that takes us over here to we have Trump halting the stimulus here. We actually have a clip from our political correspondent, Julia Jesse. She's sharing her perspective on this right here as Trump talks about halting the stimulus.
Julia Jesse. So President Trump said it's a no-go on the stimulus. He was like, yeah, hurry up and wait until after the election. What's your take on all this?
Listen, I mean, this is just the most incredible time in history right now. It is just a chaotic mess. And we can't expect anything less from the president of the United States. This has been such a long, drawn out journey of negotiations. We have, about 12.5 million people that are completely out of work. Putting the brakes on the stimulus check don't have just repercussions for the American people who want to get a $1,200 check, but we're talking about getting money to open up schools again. We're talking about infusing capital to small businesses that are struggling due to this pandemic. So it's really, really, a detriment to try to use this as some type of political capital to maybe get some voters if they think that he's going to come back and bring a stimulus check after November the 3rd.
And so hold on. So you saying that he's thinking people are going to be like, yeah, I got to vote for Trump so I can pick up the 1,200. I mean, isn't a vote worth more than $1,200?
Listen, I don't want to say that the American people are that stupid that they would do something like that, Omari, but we know that we are in tough times. And so $1,200 can really stimulate a lot of families right now. So is it a leveraging point? Absolutely. Is it a bad leveraging point? It's inhumane.
Man, she's so right about that. First of all, I'll say this. We've seen a lot of tactics coming out of this presidency that we've never seen before. Here he is now dangling carrots in front of the American people. I mean, are you shocked by this, Besa?
Absolutely not. First and foremost, October surprised. Second of all, here's my thing. The simple fact that he has not given us another stimulus check as of yet, or even created a plan, makes it to where I'm absolutely not surprised. However, I'm also very happy that you pointed out that it's not just about the stimulus checks. $1,200 would be nice, but let's be frank, this has to do with schools. This has to do with businesses. This has to do with literally just making life easier as a whole for the country if we were to get a stimulus relief fund, because it's not just the checks that you and I would get or the next person would get. It's a whole umbrella underneath that stimulus check. And the simple fact that he would be like, you know what? I know y'all want this $1,200, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to approve anything until further notice. And the funny thing is, we don't even know if, say he gets elected, he still might not give us another check because he hasn't done it yet. So it's like, who is to say that he's going to change his mind or move differently just because he's, put back in office? And then for that matter, the simple fact that you're basically saying you're going to suffer until, some point in January when someone else comes in if you don't elect me. Well, sir, we've been suffering all this whole freaking time. So if anything, it's a privilege for me because he has so much money that it doesn't matter to him. He's fine, but everyone else is suffering. Hello.
Yeah. And you know what? You just are really setting up the next clip, because this is really why this political campaign right now and this voting for the presidency is so important. Michelle Obama throws her weight in the game and makes a great statement for the Biden campaign.
And we simply cannot trust this president to tell us the truth about anything. 7 months later, he still doesn't have a plan for this virus. 7 months later, he still won't wear a mask consistently and encourage others to do the same, even when those simple actions could save countless lives. Instead, he continues to gaslight the American people by acting like this pandemic is not a real threat. Right now, our country is in chaos because of a president who isn't up to the job. The president and his allies are trying to tap into that frustration and distract from his breathtaking failures by giving folks someone to blame other than them. They're stoking fears about Black and brown Americans, lying about how minorities will destroy the suburbs, whipping up violence and intimidation, and they're pinning it all on what's been an overwhelmingly peaceful movement for racial solidarity. Only a tiny fraction of demonstrations have had any violence at all. So what the president is doing is once again patently false. It's morally wrong. And yes, it is racist. Racism, fear, division. These are powerful weapons. and they can destroy this nation if we don't deal with them head on. After seeing the presidency up close for 8 years, maybe the most important thing I've learned about the job is this: how a president focuses their time and energy in office is a direct reflection of the life they've lived before entering the White House. A president's policies are a direct reflection of their values. And we're seeing that truth on display with our current president, who has devoted his life to enriching himself, his family, and other wealthy people he truly understands. I know Joe. He is a good man who understands the struggles of everyday folks.
Wow. I mean, I feel like she really did say it all. Coming from somebody who's so well respected as Michelle Obama, I think she really had, high ratings on both sides, really, of the aisle. And, to hear her make such a comprehensive statement for what we've been seeing and witnessing with Donald Trump in the White House, what we were just describing, right, about him holding the stimulus. She's talking a lot about that and wrapping it up in a way that lets people know that, hey, we can trust Joe to at least what I'm hearing, to do better than what Trump is doing.
Girl, and honestly, it's kind of like when we did the town hall thing, and it was like, yo, even if I were to fumble over every single word, I would still do better than the debate that we saw a couple weeks ago. My whole thing, and I'm really happy that she brought up the fact of racism and what picture that he's trying to paint of what would be a Biden America. I always find it so funny whenever he goes out and he does his rallies. He's like, oh, if you vote for Biden, you're going to have more lawlessness. A Biden America is a lawless America. You'll have more this, you'll have more that. But sir, this is your America that we're currently living in. So what are you really saying? It's not like, Biden is anywhere near the White House. This is currently what you're dealing with. So if you don't like what's already happening, I'm not really sure how you're able to then deflect on what's going on right now and then just hand it over to Biden.
Girl, so true. That deflective tactic, it ain't gonna work this time. And one of the things that we're gonna move on to next here is another story of, unfortunately, Trader Joe's, man, not getting it right this time. We're gonna go ahead and play this clip. It's unfortunate because, here we are again, showing that, corporations don't always get it right.
No.
All right, this is a story right here off of Instagram. This is from the account Trader Joe's 130. This is talking about the Trader Joe's on Capitol Hill, an incident that occurred there October 2nd when some Black Lives Matter protesters came there into the store. And basically, the management asked the employees to leave the store floor. There were some employees that stayed on the store floor to do, as they said, to bear witness to the protests and to help customers. And those employees were suspended. I've talked to a few of those employees and following it up with them. Also, it's a bigger story going on, that there are some grocery stores in the Seattle area that are banning employees from wearing like a Black Lives Matter mask or pins. So we're on top of this story and we'll be getting back to you soon on it.
Let me tell you something.
That right there. Yeah, it's been a growing concern because honestly, we saw a wide array of this across the corporate spectrum. You look at a place like Trader Joe's and you think, come on, they come from maybe some shared set of values of equity, this social justice movement, kind of disrupting grocery with their model, doing it in this cooperative style. And yet you have this coming, out of a location that's also, it's Capitol Hill. So of course it's going to be even bigger when it comes to diversity and inclusion. And this is a real unfortunate thing for Trader Joe's.
You know what I find so funny about this? When I found out that this was one of the topics, I got on my phone and I went to Trader Joe's Instagram. Remember back in June when every company was so Black Lives Matter and everybody was posting those black photos with the white text. So I went to go see if they did that, because here's my thing. How are you going to post that and then treat your employees like that? Not only did they post it, they posted it in a red background with white writing. So side eye right there. However, when you actually go on that particular Trader Joe's account, which is honestly done by people that I think work at that particular store, they have a clip where they were at I forget what the day was, but it was up in Capitol Hill, and they were talking about how people have been fired and how apparently there was a transgender woman that I guess had stole about $40 worth of food, and they were like, "Look, it's just $40. We'll pay for it. Don't call the cops." They still called the cops. Cops came. They told the cops, "Look, stuff has already been paid for. Let her go." Nah. So what they ended up doing was they had the managers come out, point out the woman, and then they told all the employees to go back inside. Well, the manager comes back inside and goes, "Everything's fine. They let her go." Lies. Apparently, they went outside, found video of the officers arresting this woman. I don't know what happened, but apparently they ended up slamming her into a car and she was taken to jail. So not only did they call the cops on her after the employees had already paid for the items, they had the woman arrested who's apparently going through like a mental problem. So apparently this is nothing new. And I find it very funny. And I must add, if you go to their post that they did on June 6th, it says, "We are dedicated to doing the work every single day to make sure Trader Joe's is an environment that is safe, welcoming, understanding, and compassionate for our Black crew members and customers. As for every member of our communities, we remain committed to listening, caring, acting, and continuously improving." They even talk about how they have no tolerance for racism, discrimination, harassment, or intimidation.
Wow, wow. Pulling up the facts. You know what is hard when you can have the receipts. And I think it's crazy because right now we really are dealing with a climate where there's too many opportunities for somebody just like yourself, inquisitive enough to go through their account and pull those receipts. And this is why it's important that folks actually do the right thing and be on the side of right, because there's too many eyes watching. You know what? In our next clip, Sawant, here she is, man. I mean, Sawant fires back, man. See, she's been following a lot of this language. Clearly, she knows it to be true because she's inside a city council. She is really now calling upon those who say Black Lives Matter, exactly what Trader Joe's is doing. They say it, but they're not doing the work. Let's show that Sawant clip.
The budget is a moral document because that is where the rubber hits the road. After all the words and the rhetoric and the promises, my God, the endless promises from the politicians, from the Democratic establishment, that they will do this and that and the other. At the end of the day, what they actually are willing to do and which side they're on shows up in the budget. Among other votes, the budget is the most important vote in the year, where you can tell whether the politician actually stands with ordinary people, with marginalized communities or not. And that's why, just to give you a concrete example, you can have politicians, which we have in our city, say Black Lives Matter all year. But at the end of the day, what does it mean? Will they vote with us to defund the police by at least 50%? We saw it didn't happen in the summer. And that's why we're having this community organizing meeting, because over and over again, what we have learned through our experience of building a fight back for a city that is affordable for all of us, a city which prioritizes racial and gender justice, we have seen that we cannot rely on the establishment. We cannot even rely on those Democrats on the city council who may be well-meaning, but at the end of the day, they are not willing to take on the fight.
Not willing to take on the fight. I mean, this is what we have all the time. We've said it before. I think right now we're really looking for our council members to do what's right, and she's pressing on them once again. I mean, Omari always says, "Oh, here's your girl Sawant. Here's your girl Sawant." But the thing of it is that when you hear somebody who really is about the voice of the people. And I think that she tries to do that. I think that she really does try to say, look, let's look at things from a real bottom up approach. Like, let's collectivize, let's bring folks together. Let's do what's right for the masses. And there she is pressing folks once again.
Heck yeah. And here's my thing. I don't know much about Sawant aside from the fact that she is a lot. Aside from the fact that she ruffles a bunch of feathers, and I can see why. But what I will say is that for me, it was when she was like, my God, the endless promises. You know what I mean? Or, like if you say Black Lives Matter, like, do you really mean that? And like you said, the whole Trader Joe's thing, it's like, it's one thing for you to put up a cute photo. It's one thing for you to put up a sign that says, I'm with Black Lives Matter. Heck, you could even have your customers come to work in full-on Black Lives Matter attire, which could be like a mask, a shirt, etc. However, if deep down you really don't feel that way, if deep down behind closed doors you're not voting that way, we got a problem. And at that point, you're lying to the people.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Whew, all that politics, girl. I'm happy that our next couple of clips a little bit more lightweight before we bring Dre Franklin on from Bill 206. I'm gonna let you go ahead and handle these clips because you know a little bit more about these celebrities than me. I know we have something coming up from Daniel Cameron. So there's a response to Megan Thee Stallion, huh?
Yeah, so okay, basically, Megan Thee Stallion went on SNL looking grand span after she was apparently shot in her feet, child. However, there's a little clip, as we all know, she was shot. Well, some people know she was shot in her feet by a singer named Tory Lanez, who happens to be Canadian. Yeah. So her narrative has now been protect Black women. So within her SNL performance, she took a clip from Tamika Mallory where Tamika had some things to say about Daniel Cameron, and then she also gave her 2 cents. Can we get that clip?
And people are going to continue to talk about it. In fact, your name was depicted on Saturday Night Live this past weekend, and during a musical performance, the singer mentioned you as well. We're going to play this and then get your reaction. Watch.
Daniel Cameron is no different than the sellout Negroes that sold our people into slavery by statute.
We need to protect our Black women and love our Black women, because at the end of the day, we need our Black women.
Attorney General?
Well, let me just say I agree that we need to love and protect our Black women. There's no question about that. But the fact that someone would get on national television and make disparaging comments about me because I'm simply trying to do my job is disgusting. But it's not the first time we see this, and it certainly won't be the last time we see this. At the end of the day, my responsibility is to provide facts and truth and represent and stand up for justice. I think what you saw there in that display is someone who instead wants to fashion facts to a narrative. That narrative is simply not true in this particular case with Ms. Taylor. Again, it is a tragedy what happened to her, but what you saw on the screen there and what your viewers saw is something that I've had to experience because I'm a Black Republican, because I stand up for truth and justice as opposed to giving in to a mob mentality. And those are the sorts of things that will be hurled at me in this job. Those are the sorts of things that I've heard when I was in college. Again, because I identify with a different political philosophy, and therefore that shades the way people view me.
Well, okay. It's also about, the way you wield your power. I think so much of it is about that. So shout out to, Megan Thee Stallion for using her platform to bring about, some interesting perspective there. And I think, honestly, a lot of what she's saying resonates within community. I mean, he just said it there, something he's dealt with his whole career.
Exactly. And, I do want to point that not even lightweight. I frankly just don't like the fact that, to me, I could be thinking too much into it, but I almost feel like he's saying going with what Black people, quote unquote, Black people feel is right is the mob mentality. And it's like, where did that come from? However, I do want to note that I think he just should have said no comment. Earlier in that interview, he actually says that the justice system does not sometimes allow for justice. Now, that automatically made me be like, so if you feel that way, change it. However, I felt like that was a better response than kind of blaming the fact that people may not like you just because you're Black.
Wow. Once again, see, that's where the artistry and the politics combine. And it looks like it happened once again. Miss Rihanna, she had to make a public apology.
Yeah, so basically she had her Savage Fenty fashion show. It actually aired, I want to say, on Amazon Prime, which was good. I watched it twice. Either way, Rihanna's whole point is making sure that everyone is able to see themselves in her fashion show, which is not very typical. Typically, you see people that are like about this big, extremely fair skin. It's a very, very particular style, but she had everyone on there from like Lizzo to just anyone that you could potentially think outside of that. However, there was a little clip that she used for Muslims. I want to say it had to do with the hadith, and they did not appreciate it. Can we get that clip?
Rihanna is taking full responsibility for offending her audience. Days after her second Savage X Fenty lingerie show premiered on Amazon Prime Video, the multi-hyphenate superstar issued a public apology to the Muslim community for one specific moment during the runway event. The singer faced criticism for featuring the song Doom by London-based artist Cuckoo Chloe, which includes vocal samples of narration from the Islamic Hadith. According to CNN, the Hadith is considered extremely sacred to Muslims and comes secondary only to the Quran in terms of textual authority.
They also forgot to mention that I guess the part of the song has to talk about like doomsday or something. I was like, whoa. So Rihanna, that was one moment where I will say she kind of dropped the ball. But I do appreciate that she instantly came out once she got word of this and apologized to the Muslim community and was like, that was not intentional, and I will definitely make sure that that doesn't happen again. And I feel like, unlike in, say, a Trader Joe's situation, I actually feel that she will make sure that she has someone on her team that's genuinely from the Muslim community that can point out things like that and be like, sis, this is not going to go over well.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for that analysis. And you know what? We see it merge. We're seeing it merge right there. And one thing that we can actually get to before we go to break, we get to celebrate a win right here in our city. We're talking about all of this female empowerment. What's up, man? The storm is on top.
Let me tell you something. The fourth win, and I don't appreciate Seattle. Seattle needs to do better in supporting women with sports because no shade. I don't know what our boys are doing, but these girls got 4 championships. I did not hear a single cannon go off out last night. Nothing.
Run that clip. Oh, yeah.
The smiles. You can see them through the masks. Utter and complete domination. In a year we will never forget. The Seattle Storm are the team we will always remember. They are your 2020 WNBA champions.
I mean, wait, let me just point out that score. Was that like 92-56? I mean, it was 3-0. I mean, they're not only winning, they're smashing the game. Shout out to the Storm, killing it once again. 4th championship. They are doing their job. And you are so right in terms of Seattle uplifting sports and athleticism in the female realm. I mean, they've been killing it. And I'm excited to say that we here are Seattleites and Black women from Seattle. So go Storm, man. Once again. Period. Shout out to them. And you know what? This has been a great first segment with you, Besa. I'm excited to continue on in the show. Coming up next, we have Dre Franklin of Bill 206. He's going to be going over this gun violence town hall that we're going to be having coming up on Converge later on in this week. Stay tuned, you guys. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
Ew.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
My parents coming over here as refugees meant that they didn't really have anything when they came to America. Having reliable healthcare and having a reliable doctor was really important. Cộng đồng của tôi, trạm y tế của tôi.
我的社区，我的诊所。Mi comunidad, mi clínica.
بلشدة هي بقارها.
My community, my clinic.
Welcome back to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, joined by, look, this way. There you go.
Hey, y'all, I'm Besa. Oh, wait, no, that way. Yo, that's hard.
I know. It's tough. It takes a minute to, me and O try to get it down. And normally I'm on that side, so I have my other thing down, but I had to switch it today for you. Well, I'm excited to be bringing Dre Franklin on of Bill 206. You know, this gun violence has been wrecking our community. And honestly, there's a real concentration of it in the Black community. And so I'm happy to be bringing Dre Franklin on, who's going to be talking a little bit about Bill 206 and then setting it up for folks who are going to, for the gun violence roundtable that's happening this Thursday. So welcome in, Dre.
How you guys doing?
Hey.
The technology is working. That's what's up.
I know. Isn't that nice, Jay? Last time you were in the studio, so it's great to see you digitally, my friend.
See, I got a little bit of a lineup.
Yeah. you came a little clean today. I see. Huh?
That was looking a little rough last time, but that's all good. Same me.
Yeah, you had me cracking up last time. You said BC and AC, huh? AC, BC. It was before COVID and after COVID, huh?
Yo.
Yeah, it was all after COVID from, and I had the wave before COVID, so.
Rolled in. Well, let's let the audience know a little bit more about what Bill 206 does, and then we'll get into a little bit about this roundtable discussion happening on Thursday.
So Bill 206, our focus is issues that impact Black men and boys. In a nutshell, everything that impacts us. So, our mission is really about, serving Black men, serving Black boys, building self-esteem, resiliency, self-efficiency, helping people navigate systems, as well as mentorship. And we're really intergenerational. So really, relying on the wisdom of our elders, but also sharing the wisdom that we have with the next generation, current generation, and next generation of leaders. So yeah, that's really in a nutshell. If you guys want to find out more about what we do, our website, I put it in my name. It's bill206.com. Go ahead and check it out. We're working on a number of things. We have businesses, different things that we do to support community, but also it provides hard and soft life skills for the young folks that we encounter and adults, because as we know, everybody's not at the same place at the same time. So we want to be able to take folks where they're at and be able to work with them and provide services. What I also will say is we feel like programs don't necessarily change people. People change people. A lot of times we want to fund best practices, but really a lot of times the people are the best practice. So so I want to give you guys an opportunity to ask me some questions about what we're going to be talking about tomorrow around the gun violence. But in a nutshell, that's kind of a high level overview of what Bill 206 is about. Brothers United Leadership Development is what it stands for.
Well, Dre, thank you for that great summary. And I'll just say for me that honestly, listening to what you just said is so true, man. It isn't about the programs. It really is about the people. And this is why, it's so important that there is a whole litany, like what you're doing in terms of creating the next generation of mentors, the next generation of Dre Franklins, like folks that can actually affect real change in their communities. That's huge. And that's really a part, I think, of this strategy when we talk about, redirecting a lot of this energy that a lot of the young folks are experiencing around gun violence. So it takes me into what are folks going to be able to kind of expect coming up on Thursday at this gun violence roundtable?
I think you're going to hear a lot of stories from community, as well as folks that have been in the trenches doing this work. And, you're going to hear a lot of trauma, too, like even from the folks, victims and the families of victims, as well as people who work with them, because it's, I'm inviting on the mother of a young man who I work with he was 9 to 27. I started working with him a year after I lost my brother in 2004. I started working with him in 2005. And it takes a lot for somebody to be vulnerable and come on and share what they're dealing with. But I also look at the work I did with this young man as a success story, because I was able to keep meaningful connections with him. But, ultimately he got killed in 2017. So I feel like that's a failure. Like I could have done more. And it's a lot of, secondary trauma that I deal with, working with young folks. I mean, I started going to funerals when I was 11 years old, and it's been nonstop ever since. So I think what we're going to hear is, people on the ground that are doing great work. I think what we're going to hear is also, I think Chief Diaz is going to be on to talk about, police strategies. And I think the other thing we're going to hear is we're still going to be succinct and, everybody on the call holding true to what we're asking for is defund the police by 50%, invest or reinvest in community, because I think we're tired of paying for disservices, and what we've been doing isn't working and hasn't stopped the issues that we're seeing. What I also will add, and you'll hear me talk about this tomorrow on the town hall, is gun violence is a lagging indicator of a bunch of other failures. Somebody has to be really beat down, or self-esteem has to be really low to even feel like they have to have a gun to feel safe. And a lot of times it's in their own community. And then even moreover, to feel like they have to use it against somebody to resolve a situation. So really gun violence is really a lagging indicator. A lot of people understand around the economy and money and stuff like that, but it's the same ecosystem when we're talking about somebody getting to the point where they're feeling like they need to lash out and be violent. So people are dying, and a lot of times we want to react to the actual death. Same thing with police brutality. We want to react to the actual death, but the facts is Black folks, men and women, indigenous folks, and other people of color are being killed spiritually, emotionally, and physically every day. And those are atrocities as well. So I think that's some of what we're going to hear tomorrow. I'm also inviting on one of my elders, one of my OGs in the game, Rico Bembry, one of my mentors. Like I said, the work that we do is intergenerational. So I think there's an opportunity to have space for, folks just to hear, to make sure that, we're honoring our elders as well as, using their wisdom to garner and direct and give us direction on where we're going.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna front. There's a lot of times, in my opinion, where maybe there's someone that does need a mentor. Maybe someone needs a little bit of guidance because they're running with the wrong crowd, or they're about to start running with the wrong crowd, but maybe they don't find anything wrong with themselves. What is like a couple first steps that relatives, friends, family, teachers, whoever can take to kind of pull that person in to, one, make it to where they're not going completely left, and two, actually be able to converse with someone like yourself, because a lot of the times they are the most standoffish.
Yeah, and that's a multi-layer question, so I'll do my best to try to cover everything. But, no, it's all good. It's a great question. But realistically, for folks to want to change, they have to want to change, right? You can't make somebody change. So that's first and foremost. But I think what people can do is really understand the impact that individuals have. Like if all of us, the problem is there's an epidemic, where they're stripping Black men out of the family, they're stripping Black men out of the economic, opportunities, jobs, education. That's why we talk about school to prison pipeline. So, you're crushing the Black family, which impacts Black women. So I think people understand that's why coaches and mentors and teachers and all that is very important in our ecosystem to make sure that we have the supports that we need, because they've been stripped out. But I also think that people individually need to understand the powers that they have. If everybody kind of wraps their arms around one person, one young person, young man or woman, then it can make a difference. And what I've found is a lot of times when folks are going through traumatic transitions in their life, they lost somebody, they're getting out of jail, they had some kind of traumatic thing. A lot of times they're more susceptible and want to change. They want to have the resources. The problem is that when they're ready to make that change, the resources aren't there, or they're too old, or too young to be in the program, so on and so forth. So what I would say is, really having those conversations. And part of it is we need to have some internal conversations within our community. So, we definitely need to stop systematic racism and oppression. That's definitely part of it. But part of that is it creates us to have self-hate and lowers our self-esteem. And the culture that they've given us over years and years and years, we've been drinking the juice, right? We live the lyrics. And so that's part of the game, is we've been socialized. So people need to really be intentional on what they let their children intake. Like my son, I listen to, rap music and all that. And I understand now. When I was younger, I was living the lyrics, but I understand now it's entertainment. But I don't entertain my 12-year-old son with that. We listen to, kids radio, kids bop, and classical music and jazz and, funk and old school music and stuff like that. So we really need to really be intentional on, and we don't have cable. So we got Netflix. So he's not getting all the bombardment of all the commercials and stuff. So people really need to be intentional on being strategic on what they're feeding their kids, because education is the key, but school is the lock. You know what I mean? Like school is not really working for us, but education is everywhere. There's so many levels of education. So it's really, we got to make sure that we're lacing ourselves up, making sure that we're being healthy as well as, the kids around us. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I think it's really about, internally in our community, we need to understand that some of our behaviors are detrimental to our success, right? But a lot of that behavior was given to us. The violence and stuff was given to us. They've been beating us left and right, since we got here, right? So a lot of that is learned behavior, you know what I'm saying? But in the same time, we got to understand the games that are being played and make better decisions, and have some real conversations and have healing space. That's the other thing. I think, Trey, you and I talked about this last time. There's not really funding for us to have healing. It's all about transactions. You want me to, first of all, the school district's budget's $1 billion. Then they have some, $250,000 funding. This is why we don't go after this type of funding. You have $250,000 funding to try to bridge this education gap. But then the same person who's failing the community is monitoring the contract. So it's like almost like you're in an abusive relationship and you're going to give me some money to say, hey, fix the problems that we created. And then we're going to tell you how we want it to be fixed. And so there's not a lot of money, where you can just bring community together and heal. Something I've been thinking about and talking to some community leaders about is like a lot of people have been on the gas for like months right now, like really gas, on top of living in the capitalist system, on top of taking care of their kids, on top of doing remote school, on top of COVID, on top of a crazy election cycle, on top of everything else, right? On top of this normal, just being Black in America, right? I've been thinking about where's the funding to have a half day. Let's go get these guys massages, let's meditate, let's do some acupuncture, let's do some healing. But there's no reason. I've been looking for. There's no really resources out there for those things. But that's what's needed, and that's a failure from us just being on the gas. And our elders and I talked to my elders about this, so this isn't no shade on them, but they failed on showing us on how to do that, right? They failed on showing us how to, we got to be better. We got to be 10 steps above everybody else. But that's why mental health, heart failure, all these different health disparities are at a higher rate in our community because the level of stress and adrenaline that we got going through our body. And then on top of that, tapering down who we are when we're in these white spaces. That stuff is soul-sucking stuff. You know what I mean? You can't really be who you are because it's not safe. You may lose your job. You may lose opportunities. Your kids may, not get opportunities, so on and so forth. So that's the reality of the world that we're living in. And I think, I'm hoping that if, this funding does get freed up for the Black community, I think they're trying to water it down with this BIPOC thing. I'm all for people of color. I think this is an opportunity for them to try to pit us against each other. I think the promise was that the Black community was supposed to get $100 million a year. And really, that's budget dust. At the end of the day, we make more money off traffic cameras in the city of Seattle than what they're trying to give us, to solve these problems that have been generational. So I think really folks need to be ready to change, and then we got to make sure that we're ready to serve them with the right information, as well as it's a learning process. Like, we're part of the work too. Like, I don't feel like I got all the answers. None of the people on my team feel like we got all the answers. So, but we're working to find them, and we're part of the work too. So this is a healing process for us. Me losing my brother, working with these young folks was a healing process for me because I could have went left or right. So me getting in program and being of service, it helped heal me from losing my brother.
Yeah. And I think that what you just described, thank you so much for answering that. Such a comprehensive answer. And I appreciated that because I think what you're showcasing is that it really takes a comprehensive approach. I know that folks out there in the audience are going to be excited. Tune in this Thursday, 6 to 9 p.m. We are going to be having the Gun Violence Roundtable talks. And this guy right here, Dre Franklin, will be participating. Great to have you on once again, Dre, as always, bringing that fire and that passion for community. We appreciate all your work out there, my friend.
Respect. Thanks you guys for having me. Keep up the great work.
Absolutely. You guys, we got one more break coming up. Stay tuned. You guys will be right back. You're watching the Morning Update Show. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media. All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, joined by the very fantastic Miss, there we go, Besa, Q93.
Oh, I did it. Hey, girl.
Oh, this has been a great episode. Thank you again for joining me today, Besa, in O's absence. You have been amazing. I'm appreciating all of your energy. And as I said, man, we're just sprinkling Black girl magic all throughout the show. So thank you. And speaking of, Melanin Magic is coming up next. You guys know that's my favorite segment of the show. And we're actually going to tune in with some friends over at Big Building. They have a great performance by Maya Marie. I want to make sure I get it right. Maya Marie, that she did. So let's bring in our Melanin Magic.
Ew.
This song is called Sugar Sweet. We haven't played it in a while, and we're just going to go forward. You good? We're good?
Sugar falls in my teacup, stirred up, but I think I have not had enough. You're so sugar sweet, my baby. You're so sugar sweet. We do the same old kinds of things. They're the kind of sweet thing as though it seems, but you're sugar sweet, my baby. You're so sugar sweet. Oh, you're sugar in my cup. Oh, you're sugar in my cup. Sweet eyes, the sugar falls in my teacup. Stirred up, but I think I have not had enough. You're so sugar sweet, my baby. You're so sugar sweet. You're so sweet. You're so sweet like candy. You're so sweet. You're so sweet. Oh, you're sugar in my cup. Oh, you're sugar in my cup.
Woo, that was she was on fire. Pour your sugar in my cup, man. Shout out to our local artists, man, holding it down in Big Building. It's great production value, and I love how folks are really collaborating to showcase the artistry in our very Emerald City, man. I'm telling you, I'd be impressed by all these artists that are being uncovered right now during COVID. It's like folks are like, look, let's utilize this space for something, man. That's great production right there.
Period. And it's great vocals, great production. I approve, and I don't like a lot of stuff. I ain't gonna front.
Right. Period. And one of my clips that I'm also really enjoying, Melanin Magic has been there really since the beginning. Me and O said, look, we need to end with something that's positive, and that's really where Melanin Magic came in. But I'm loving this new clip too of Wellness Wednesdays, man. We're keeping it healthy for the folks. So here is our Wellness Wednesday for this week.
Hey everybody, welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I'm here at Neighbor Care in Rainier Beach with Tamara.
Hello, hello, hi.
Welcome. So tell me a little bit about Neighbor Care.
Neighbor Care Health is considered a community health center. We target the underserved population, those who have Apple Health, Medicaid, and those who are considered maybe minorities within the community, and everyone's the community, but considered to be a community health center.
So today we are talking about the flu shot. So I've got a couple questions here for you that I crowdsourced from our staff at Converge, who are a little bit babies about getting their flu shots, and I'm trying to get them to go.
Gotcha, okay.
So tell me, who should and shouldn't get the flu shot?
Yeah, so the flu shot is for everyone over the age of 6 months old, and for those who don't have a severe allergy to the flu vaccine. Those who should not get it are babies younger than 6 months old, anyone who has had a severe allergy to the flu shot before, or anyone who has had an allergic reaction to the flu ingredients.
What are the benefits of getting a flu shot?
Yeah, so the number one benefit is that it can help prevent you from getting the flu, which everybody knows is miserable. It can make you feel very sick. It can also take you away from doing your daily activities like work, school, being around your family and your friends. The other benefit of getting the flu shot is to help not only protect yourself, but protect those who you care about, right? So your family and your friends and your loved ones who could be at greater risk for getting the flu or complications when getting the flu. So for those who have immune compromised systems that are already low, right? So cancer, pneumonia, asthma, COPD, we want to protect those as well.
So, elephant in the room always, COVID.
Yeah.
Why is it especially important to get our flu shot this year?
Yeah, we have all seen how COVID is affecting everyone. It varies, but to get COVID and the flu is a very, very dangerous spot to be in. So we want to make sure that we can at least address the flu side. With COVID pandemic, we all have to do our part and help decrease the number of potential respiratory illnesses that could be spread among the community, and we can do that by getting our flu shot.
So if you're like the boys I work with and you're afraid of needles, is there any alternative to the flu shot?
That is a great question. There is actually, yes, there is. One of the alternatives is called the flu mist. It is approved by the FDA for those who are healthy, who are not pregnant, and who hasn't had any other allergies, of course. For the age of 2 to 49, it is a little nasal spray that you spray up your nose.
So you always see signs around town, free flu shot. Where are some places that you can get a free flu shot?
So insurances actually must have to cover vaccinations in full in order to comply with the Affordable Care Act, or otherwise known as Obamacare. So I would advise you to check with your insurance to make sure that there's no kind of restrictions as to where you can get it. Neighbor Care Health, as well as other community health centers, offer discounted programs and to those who are who don't have insurance. But even with that, we never deny anyone based on inability to pay. So there are plenty of opportunities and resources for us to get our flu shots, and I encourage everyone to go out and get it.
Great. Well, I guess it's my time. It's my turn. Time to get my flu shot.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Do you have an appointment today?
I do.
Medical or dental?
Medical.
Medical. Okay. I'm just going to ask you a few questions and take your temperature. Have you been in contact with anyone confirmed or suspected to have COVID?
I have not.
Any COVID test results that you're waiting on?
No.
Any cough, fever, shortness of breath, diarrhea, runny nose?
No,
Right.
no symptoms.
And I'm going to go ahead and take your temperature, okay? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You relax your arm. You don't have to look. You can keep your eyes covered, so I'll count to 3, okay? 1. And that's it.
That's it.
Just a Band-Aid.
Thank you. All right, that's it. All done. Easy peasy. Go get your flu shot.
Shout out to the producer extraordinaire, Nikki the Whip Barron, producing that great segment, Wellness Wednesday with Neighborhood Care. You know what? It is flu season, folks. It's time to do that. You know, I never get the shot. I'll be honest. I maybe this year with COVID, I may have to rethink it. I don't know. Do you get the shot?
I haven't gotten the shot since I actually had to in high school. Like, I didn't like what it did to my arm. It would make my arm hurt. I sometimes wouldn't feel well. I would still get the flu. Then the flu's in it. I was just like, I just have too many questions. I'm good. I'll just stay home.
There's all these questions, so many questions. Well, coming up next, we actually have another great segment from another producer extraordinaire here at Converge. Jake Ravbrat is bringing us this amazing mural. He has a great story to follow this. And so here we are. This is one of the segments by Jake Ravbrat.
Artist town through and through, San Francisco, California is home to one of the longer-running street art alleys in the country. Located right near the entrance to the historic Mission District, situated between Mission and Valencia Streets, just south of 17th Street, the Clarion Alley Mural Project has been around since 1992 and is an ever-changing homage to the talented muralists that dot the landscape of the city. From the beginning, the Mural Project has been about social inclusiveness that uses public art as a means for supporting social, economic, racial, and environmental justice messages and storytelling. Over the years, various different artists have helped to curate the murals that line this residential alley in the heart of the Mission. Along with the locals and tourists who frequent the alley, music videos and documentaries have also been shot here, including ones by Lenny Kravitz and Netflix. I first discovered the Clarion Alley in 2016 on a brief trip to San Francisco as I explored the Mission District, which is one of my favorite places in this city rich with history and culture. While visiting briefly this past weekend, I knew I had to get there to see how this alley, which is always changing, has adapted to the challenges that 2020 has presented. Exactly as expected, artists rose to the occasion, crafting art that tackled forest fires, Black Lives Matter, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the Trump administration, ICE, and much, much more. In tumultuous times, art has always been the voice of the people. In our current socio-political climate, the art that has been born of this movement will have a lasting impact on the historical legacy of our times. Much like hieroglyphs, these pieces of art showcase what is happening in our world currently. One of my favorite things about traveling anywhere is attempting to integrate as if I were an actual resident of the city as opposed to being a tourist. Finding street art has long been a hobby of mine, not just for the artistic inspiration that it provides, but also, in most cases, for the free entertainment and education that comes along with it. For as much as San Francisco is known for its contribution to music history and cinema, it is also a hotbed for street art, one of my favorite places in the country to check out the murals. The next time you find yourself in San Francisco, take a detour over to the Mission District and check out what's on display in the Clarion Alley. There's always the obvious tourist attractions, such as the Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz, Fisherman's Wharf, and more, but this public art space is always worth a visit and the plethora of photo ops that it provides. You can get there easily by taking the BART and jumping off at the 16th Street station and walking just a few short blocks to the entrance of the Clarion Alley. For more information, visit ClarionAlleyMuralProject.org and dive into the history of this public art project.
Oh man, Jay Ravbrat, bravo, my friend. He does it again. I mean, I love his pieces. His pieces are becoming super iconic in terms of the Converge brand. I mean, honestly, he is a brand all in and all of itself. What did you feel about that, Besa? I thought it was brilliant.
I feel like I need to travel more so I can start experiencing these things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you see certain pieces and it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. But then you see other pieces that's like, oh, I need to pull up.
Yeah, yeah, and you know what? Honestly, that's one of the great things about his pieces is that he travels and captures amazing things, right? And it's like, oh man, I wouldn't have never thought to go there or specifically to see that, but now I have some destinations, and now our audience has some other destinations that they can also travel to. Besa, it's been beautiful having you. We have one more clip here, you guys. We got to showcase because we keep saying it. This gun violence, it wrecks our community. We see it with the families that have to deal with the aftermath. We, again, so many people still fighting for justice for their beloved family members who have been killed by gun violence throughout this city. A lot of cases still unsolved. So we have a clip here of Will Jimerson setting up Thursday's roundtable discussion on gun violence.
Right here with Willard Jimerson Jr. Man, if he's really your friend, he'll tell you call him Willie J from United Better Thinking. We've got this gun violence roundtable on Thursday. Willard, man, tell people what they can expect or they can look forward to.
They can expect folks to come out and, present solutions. We just don't want to echo the sentiments of the problem, but we definitely want to present solutions around the efforts around the disease of violence. We want to make sure that we take a public health approach to this aspect as well, making sure that people see the violence as a disease, as it is infectious and expressed from person to person. So they will see some solutions that are being made out at this particular moment with a variety of different folks, different agencies, different concerned community folks who are trying to do the work to make sure that we preserve the lives of our young people, their families, and connected communities.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, yeah, sorry guys, I was stretching my back. But you know what? He's absolutely right. And I love how he said we don't want to focus on the symptoms here and on the issues. We really have solutions. We really do. And that's what folks can see and hear at Thursday's roundtable, 6 to 9 p.m. Anywhere that you are watching this broadcast right here, you can check that out right here on the Converge platform. I'm excited to bring that information out to community. It's definitely a much needed discussion throughout our community. So, and beyond, because honestly, I think what I love so much about this platform is folks who are not directly affected by this, they can still hear the solutions on the ground. They can be a part of that and they can join in on the movement of, hey, I want to fight for solutions because I don't want children in my city to be, wrecked by gun violence. And I don't want families throughout my city to have to experience this kind of death. And so honestly, there's a way for everybody to be involved. So I'm excited for this roundtable tomorrow night, 6 to 9 p.m. right here, anywhere that you are checking this out. Community Voices, special edition, Willard Jimerson, Sean Good, Dre Franklin, Chief Adrian Diaz, Shakundi Salisbury. We have a host right there, Marcus Harrison Green of the South Seattle Emerald, another great collaboration of community media. And it's great to bring that voice to the table. Besa, I can't thank you enough, my friend. This has been amazing having you on today. Thank you for bringing your energy, your vibes. How can folks check in with you and your show on Cube 93?
Oh, well, first and foremost, thank you for having me on what I tell everybody is my Black CNN. I watch this every morning. I typically don't pay attention to things, but this is on my notification, so I watch this every single day. But you can keep up with me on social media at Besa. That's Naybesa. And then obviously you can listen to me on Cube 93.3 Monday through Saturday, 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. Go to Cube 93.3 on your FM dial or just type in Cube 93.3 on the iHeartRadio.
Oh, amazing. I appreciate you and all of your love. And you know what, guys, I want to thank you for your love, supporters, all of you. We so appreciate you and all of the donations. You guys know we're runoff donations, so we really do appreciate all the support, all the folks who are subscribers. We appreciate you, and we appreciate you sharing this platform. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, if you're appreciating the content that we're producing and the stories that we're covering and the ways we're covering them, share it amongst your friend network, share it amongst your family, amongst your colleagues. We really do appreciate the support and the love. You have been watching the Morning Update Show, and tomorrow I will be back with my guy, my Ace Boone Coon, my day one. Big O will be back joining us tomorrow at 11 a.m. Until then, peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rise.